Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Beltane 2025 Stargazing webinar, the title of which is Radical Trust. What do we mean by that? My name is Deborah Moore, if you haven't come across me before, and I am an astrologer. I trained with the Huber School, so it's a little bit different to traditional astrology, which you may have come across before. Now, Beltane is one of the fire festivals. It sits halfway between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. And I'm in Glastonbury at the moment, which is the place to be for Beltane. They made a decision many years ago that they were really going to focus on Glastonbury being the focus for Beltane energy. And it's all about welcoming in the summer and celebrating the fertility of the earth. Beltane is very much a fertility festival with Mayflower and the May Queen and the Green Man and raising the maypole, which is a phallic symbol of fertility. Now, we tend to celebrate Beltane on May the 1st. However, the actual halfway point, the exact halfway point, is at 15 degrees of Taurus, which is tomorrow. Today is May the 4th, and it is tomorrow, May the 5th, at about 7 a.m. in the morning. That's 7 a.m. BST. What I think is rather special is that 7 a.m. BST is 6 a.m. GMT. And if we were like, just gave a little bit of poetic license and made it 5:55 a.m. GMT, then we've got the 5th of the 5th month at the 25th year, which is obviously another 5, and then at 5:55. So what do fives mean to you? You know, this is a 55555 point. And for me, fives are about change. It's an opportunity for us to make a new choice, a new decision, to step into a new way of being, of how we see ourselves. And a lot of this is going to be about that, about how we can step into a new form of self-identity that is much more trusting. So let's dive in and we'll have a look. So here we have the chart for the astrological point of Beltane. I'm not going to go through all the list on the right. If you're one of my 24 astrology students, then it would be useful to look down the list on the right and see what placements that you recognize and what sort of energy you think that might actually bring to the planet. I think one of the main things to notice is everything is very much on the left-hand side of the chart, which means this is very much about us retreating into ourselves and learning something from within. This isn't something that we're going to be able to necessarily learn in our interactions with other people. This is about taking time to ourselves to reflect and to reach for a higher understanding. There's also a lot more in this chart about the need to go within and to look within. Anything that says intercepted or on an invert point or in a stress zone is going to be something that we need to be looking at within ourselves. So there's a lot of self-reflection required here. And I'm going to ask you a few pertinent questions in order to help you really look at where you need to be looking at in terms of this self-reflection. First of all, I would like you to close your eyes and take a few moments to have an experience. So I want you to imagine that you can totally trust, that you can just let go of all your worries and all your fears and just put yourself into the hands of the universe. You're looked after, you're safe. There's nothing you need to worry about. There's nothing you need to get stressed about. You can just let it all go. You can hand it all over to a higher power. Now, for some of us, that is very difficult to do and certainly difficult to maintain that state. However, even if you just got the briefest glimpse, the briefest like settledness, where you've let it all go, that's enough because you'll remember that experience. So continue to practice that when you're doing this inner work, just that experience of just letting it all go. So, like these lanterns being released into the sky, and I'm not advocating that we go and all send off all these lanterns unless you can find biodegradable ones, but there's this sense of just letting it all go. And we need to understand what it is that's actually holding us back from letting it go, and whether we'd even really want to just let it all go, give it all up to the universe. Would you really want to? So there's many reasons for why we wouldn't let it go. And a lot of it is because we need to feel this sense of control, that we are in control of our lives in the way that we're in control of a television screen with a remote. It's like, I need to know that I'm the one who makes the decisions. I need to know where everything is, and I need to know exactly what I'm doing, and I need to know where my money is coming from, and I need to know, and I need to know, and I need to know. And this is all a form of control. Um, and it's usually based in some form of fear. And when we have that sense of needing to be in control, then we're not letting go of something. There's something that we could we could release and let go of some of that control. But do we have a limit as to what we will allow ourselves to let control of? Is there a boundary where we're like, I'm not going any further than that? That is my limit. That's one of our issues, one of our intrinsic human issues, is that we put limits on how far we will express our trust, where we allow ourselves to be free to trust. It's like, no, I'm not going beyond that limit. And maybe that's because we believe that we're the only person who knows how to do that. And therefore, we couldn't possibly give away control of it. But it may be things that we are genuinely really frightened of, that that's just too big, that beyond that limit is just this huge expanse of the unknown. And it's just too scary to go there. Just like, well, who in their right mind would go there? Come on, you can't just give up everything. You can't let go to everything. We don't know. There's untold dangers out there. So then you really need to look at, well, what is it that you fear? And this is a really useful exercise to do. We often have very vague fears about things. Oh, no, I'm too frightened to do that. But it's useful to actually really nail it down to the specific fear that we have. What is it? Our fears tend to be quite generalized, and it's really useful to sit with them and identify the actual specific nub of that fear. What particular aspect is it of wandering off into the wilderness, what particular aspect is it that I am afraid of? And it will always relate to something that happened during your early childhood, or sometimes it can be a fear you brought in with you. But it's really useful to think back to, when did I first experience that fear? And then you can look at it and go, oh, yeah, I remember that particular incident now. Ah, yeah, I can understand why, as a small child, I was really afraid of that, or that incident caused me a lot of distress and didn't want to go there again. And but then you can look at it, but would I be afraid of that now? Would I be equally afraid of that now? Could I make some movement beyond that fear now? This is a very useful exercise to do, particularly because we've got the sun on the 12th house cusp, and the 12th house is very much about our hidden fears. And I hate to say this, but in general, and we all do this to some extent, we all have definitely done it, is that we use our fears and our insecurities as a way of getting our needs met. You know, it's that one of where we need to talk about our problems. Yes, but I can't do this because I've got that issue and I've got this, and then I have to do that, and then, and I've just got so many things. I've got to move house and I've got no money, and my daughter's got this and that, and then I have to look after my parents, and then I still have to get my job, and then I just don't know. I just it's just all too much, and my health is so poor, and it just all builds up into this huge panoramic picture that just seems insolvable. But in that repetitive expressing of that list of problems that we have, it's like we're entrenching ourselves further. And at some level, we are wanting somebody to step in and make it better for us, even if it's only to hold us and say, oh, I'm so sorry. That sounds all really difficult. It's like we're expressing a need to be looked after. And but for most of us, we may have never had that need fulfilled. And therefore, we don't have that level of trust that we will be looked after. And this is what we're really looking at. And then, we know this person, comes in, and it's always an endless litany of their troubles and their problems and the challenges they're having with other people. And it becomes exhausting to listen to this. And it's exhausting for us in expressing it endlessly, because what we're doing is we're just giving all our troubles and all our problems a lot more attention. It's like we're just feeding them. It's like, here, have a bit more energy, have a bit more distress, feed it, make it a bit bigger. And as we're all learning, energy flows where our attention goes. So if we're finding ourselves talking a lot about an endless list of problems, and especially when it comes with this very, it's so hard, and it's just so terrible, and it's just so hard. Whoa, we are really inviting the universe to mirror more of that back to us. So that's another layer that we need to catch hold of and go, no, I don't want to give all this energy to this. I want to trust that I am being looked after. So raise your hand if you feel like you do any of those things. Do you have boundaries where you're not willing to go? Or you talk endlessly about your problems, giving them more energy? And what you'll find is you are not the only one. We tend to think, yes, but I'm the only one who has these problems. I'm the only one who can't trust. I'm the only one for whom, I couldn't rely on anybody when I was young. And I had these traumatic experiences when I was young. No, you're not. Every single one of us is dealing with this. It's the human condition. It's what we're here for. Part of what we're here for on this planet we are spiritual beings having a material existence. And part of that existence is to enable us to grow, to learn certain skills that we can't learn in the spiritual realm where everything is perfect and everything is one. It's like we have to come into a sense of separation in order to learn what is keeping us separate and how to move through that into a place of unity. And our culture persuades us to come into a place of what I call negative unity. It's like, oh yeah, it's terrible. Oh, I agree with you. It's so terrible. Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I got the same. Yeah, and it's just awful. And did you hear what that they said? And yeah, and it's that coming together as a group to share our negativity. It feels very unified. It's like, oh, fantastic. Everybody else agrees with me. Now I feel supported in that unity. But it's all at very low vibration. It's all moaning and whinging and complaining about things, just giving everything we don't want more energy. So, what we want is to raise our vibration so that we come together as a group at that higher vibration. And that is a lot more difficult to achieve with other people than it is to go into the negative unity. We have been so trained to be in this negative unity. And it's up to each of us, each individual. We can't expect other people to do this for us. For each individual to say, no, I'm not willing to participate in that negative unity anymore. I am going to do my utmost to turn whatever it is we're talking about into something more positive, into a higher vibration. And if that doesn't work, then your best bet is just to walk away, because that negative unity will be impacting you, even if you don't engage in it. So before we go on, just want to talk about a couple of energetic principles, if you like, that all my work is based on and this webinar is based on. And I just need to make sure that we're all singing from the same hymn sheet, if you like, that you all have some understanding of where we're focused. And one of these is about the quantum field. So you must have heard this expression. And although it's always been in existence, everything has always been one energy, but quantum mechanics wasn't discovered, if you like, or people weren't doing work with it until about 100 years ago. And suddenly it's made this massive impact in general human consciousness that we are all actually part of one energy, and that whatever we feel or think or do ripples out through the entire collective. That's a huge responsibility on each of us to make sure that what we put out into the collective is of the highest vibration that we can actually access and manage within ourselves. And to deliberately not do that, to deliberately say, I'm just going to have a whinge and a moan and I'm going to stir up all these people and get them all to be negative as well, that is a sin. If you know what you're doing, then that is a sin, because that will be what will ripple out into the universe. I'm sure none of you do that. However, I just wanted to point that out, that when we understand our power, and it's not power over, it's our power to influence the whole field through our vibrational state, then we really have to take on board and constantly review our vibrational state. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I in the moment? What am I influencing? What am I rippling out? And we all touch into that universal field. Obviously, we're all part of it. We're an integral part of it. There is no separation, but we experience it as a separation, particularly when we want to talk to it, which is what we do when we're dowsing or muscle testing. we're actually accessing that unified field energy, and we're asking for information or knowledge or wisdom. We're asking for new inputs, for new insight into something. We're reaching beyond our mental capabilities. And remember that we'll only ever get the same thing if we just use our mental level. We have to reach to something higher to access something new, and we go, oh yeah, actually, yeah, that's amazing. Oh yeah, I'd never thought of it like that. And we tend to see it then more from a unified perspective. With our mental level, we'll just go pros and cons, pros and cons, pros and cons. And we're looking for something that is more all encompassing. So that's what we're doing when we are working with the quantum field. It's also sometimes called the plasma. You can also think of it as God or the universe. It's got lots of different names, but it's all that same wholeness, that same oneness of energy that everything is part of. Everything follows a mathematical pattern within that whole. Even the most random things will be following some form of underlying pattern. That's why they say that maths is the language of the universe. And of course, that's what astrology is. It's all about patterns. And astrology is part of the overall pattern that we all are living through and expressing as the pattern generally unfolds and into the universe with this constant manifestation, this constant ordering of energy. So the other thing I wanted to just go over again, just for those of you who've never come across this diagram before, is the emotional frequency spectrum. We've all felt very low at times. 30% of us will be the victims of shame. It's not an inherited thing. It's not something we learn. It just seems to be something that about 30% of the population have a challenge with, which is shame. Everybody else can quite happily deal with guilt and make some sort of restitution. But when it's shame, it becomes very inner, and it's almost like we can't see the outside world. And I personally believe that shame is one of the lowest vibrational frequencies that we can be in, and we need to do our utmost to get out of it as fast as possible, raise our vibration in some way. And then right at the top of the scale, we have enlightenment. Well, if one person was enlightened, we'd all be enlightened. So, it's something we're aspiring to. But in the meantime, we can still access joy, love, even bliss. And these are all very high vibrational states. The sort of middle one between the two is boredom. And, you think about young people and I'm bored. Well, I'm so bored. I'm so bored. And in that moment of being bored, we have to make a choice. What are we going to do? Are we going to go into more, well, it's just awful and everything's horrible and I don't like this and I'm bored and nobody likes me and I don't know what to do and I haven't got anything to do and I'm not good at, blah, blah, blah. Or we can go into, well, let's go and find something to do, something that I like doing, something I enjoy doing that's going to give me a lift. It's at that decision point. Which way are we going to go? And we want to be forever going to that higher vibrational state, because that is what will ripple out into the universe and into our own lives. The universe, it works on the law of resonance. And we tend to think of the law of attraction, but actually it's more the law of resonance. So if we're resonating at a very low vibrational frequency, then the universe will say, okay, we'll match you at that low vibrational frequency. And it's going to bring us a load of stuff. That's what we're going to see, very low vibrational stuff. If we can resonate at a very high vibrational frequency, you go, okay, I'll match you at that. And we're going to see much more high vibrational things coming towards us or just surrounding us in our lives. Our attitude is everything in terms of what we resonate with, what we're drawing into us. And I thought, long and hard about we all experience these fears and this lack of trust and being in low vibration. And really, the only thing I can think of is that every single one of us has abandonment issues. You know, if you look at our nearest relatives, the primates, the babies are attached to them, you know, until they're several years old. They would never leave their mother's side. The mother would never expect them to leave their side. That's how the mother keeps them safe. And that's how the little one learns about the world. It's like, oh, my mother's eating that plant, but not that plant. Oh, she's, you know, rubbing sticks together to make a poker to get out some termites. Oh, I'm watching her and how she's doing that. And most of us did not experience 100% attachment. We were all abandoned at some point, whether we were left in a pram to cry, we were left in a cot to cry, we were forever sitting in a buggy, we never got held in arms, we were passed around to different people, we were sent to boarding school, we were sent to stay with other relatives, our parents died, we were in care homes. Honestly, the list is endless, and we all had it because we've all been brought up in a culture where babies were put down. You know, very few of us were held in arms. You see it a lot more now, babies being held in arms. And, you know, none of us, very few of us actually slept with our parents until we felt confident enough to go and sleep with our friends or sleep on our own. We were forced to be self dependent from an extraordinarily early age, sometimes from birth. You know, we might have been sent to nursery at 6 weeks old, or even sent to school before we were ready to actually leave our mother's side. There's just so many ways that we feel that we were abandoned. And so what happens is that leaves a hole. It leaves a hole of, I didn't get enough. I didn't get enough love. I didn't get enough security. I didn't get enough trust. My level of trust wasn't built high enough that I could then go out into the world and know that I would be okay, that I would be looked after. So we all have it. Please don't think you're the only one, because you're not. It's a natural human condition. It's almost like what we were put here for, one of the things we were put here for, to learn. And when we're lying on our deathbed, we want to be able to trust that we are going to be okay, that we are moving to something else where we will be okay. You know, we want to have that level of trust that everything is okay and that I am looked after and that I am loved, deeply loved, irrespective of what is going on around me. I know that I'm okay and that I am loved. And that is what, I mean, these little monkeys might not be, have that sense of I am loved, but they know they're okay. They know that they're safe and they can now be independent when they go out into the world and pass that on to their young. So what I'd like to do is just to go through a few points in this chart that I think are particularly significant. And I've circled Saturn here. So this is one of the slower moving planets, takes 30 years to go all the way around the zodiac. So it's 2.5 years in each sign, and it's impacting all of us as it moves through each sign. It's impacting the whole of human consciousness. So it's been in Pisces for about 2 years, and it's just about to move into the Aries. I think it's May the 25th. And when it does this, it's going to be joining Neptune in Aries and Venus that is now in Aries. And we're moving very much into an Aries energy where all these planets have just been in Pisces. Neptune's been there since 2012. This is a massive shift, like a collective consciousness shift into Aries. And I don't want to go into this in too much detail because I spoke a lot about this last year. But the Pisces is water. It's very emotional, it's very fluid, it's very living in a slightly delusional world, or we may have been feeling very lost or very sad. And now it's moving into a fire sign, a sign that is ruled by Mars, the god of war. You know, this is a potentially quite an aggressive sign. It's very dynamic, it's very active. And also, it's the sign of the child, the young child who is developing their self identity. They're coming to learn who they are. And I see this massive movement into Aries as this shift in all of us to really coming to know who we are and self discovery. Now, on the vibrational spectrum, it's going to have very different results, very different effects in the world. So let's have a little look at that now. All these double pictures, on the left is the low vibration, and on the right is what I see as the high vibration. So we're talking very lowest vibration and very highest vibration, and we're all going to sit somewhere between those. So at very low vibration, Aries is angry. It's the temper tantrum that you see in a child when the child gets so wound up and they become actually vicious and they're hitting and they're hurting. And it's the warrior energy. It's like, I'm going to go and kill and I'm going to go and fight. And it's all done as a form of protection, but it doesn't, it doesn't, it's not conducive to bringing in, to attracting the good things that we want in life. You know, if we come over as defensive and angry, we're going to be met by that. And we know very well what it feels like when somebody approaches us like that. Do we retaliate and we fight back? Or do we take a deep breath and go, I need to raise my vibration here so that it ripples out and this other person has at least the opportunity to raise their vibration a bit as well. And even if they don't actually raise their vibration very high, just by you raising your vibration into a much more settled and loving and calmer space, you'll notice their energy will start to settle a little bit more as well, and they'll become less defensive. So at very high vibration, this is the spiritual warrior. This is the yoga pose for the warrior. And it's the spiritual warrior has this groundedness. If you've ever done a martial arts practice, you'll know that you have to be grounded. Your center has to be very, very grounded. Otherwise, your opponent's just going to knock you off. You know, it's like you've got to be deeply rooted in the earth and deeply balanced so that you're able to open this very clear channel between accessing this higher vibration of the quantum field and bringing it down into material manifestation. So we can bring down this higher love or joy or bliss or enlightenment, and we can bring it into material manifestation and affect everything around us. That is the spiritual warrior, and that is what I believe that Saturn in Aries is asking us to do. In Pisces, it was very much the spiritual master, but now we're looking at the spiritual warrior. This red circle is around the sun. Now, the sun is our light. You know, it's around which everything revolves. It's the source of all the energy on this planet. You know, when we look at the sun and it looks so small in the distance, and then we think of it as our power, that it runs everything on the planet. And we each have our own sun, our own self-identity of how we see ourselves. And it's currently in Taurus, which is, it's about May, it's about growth, it's about the earth, it's about the blossom, it's about our values, it's about money, it's about our physical body. And it's about our senses. When the sun shines, we feel good, our skin feels good, and we're eating the spring, the new leaves in the ground, and it all just feels lovely. Just the blossom just looks so beautiful. We're indulging our senses with Taurus. But the sun is unaspected. There's no other planets connected to it. And it's in a very strong position on the 12th house cusp. But the 12th house is the house of retreat. It's where we withdraw into our own little secret bedroom or little cupboard or our little altar where we go to connect with our higher selves. It's where we retreat to come to know ourselves with our connection with the divine, to come to know our own divinity within. Now, this aloneness can go either way. If we're very, very, very depressed and we're very sad, or we just feel really bad about ourselves, or we just feel so alone in the world, like nobody cares about us, then we're going to feel more like the character on the left at very, very low vibration. But if we feel like we are connected to all that there is, to all the beauty in the universe, and we feel safe within ourselves, and we know that we are loved, and we know that we are part of the whole, and that we are divine beings, that we are spiritual beings, having this beautiful material existence for which we feel so much gratitude, to be able to experience beauty, that's such a gift. Then we can sit with ourselves at very high vibration, in a place of deep gratitude and silence and just peace. And we've all had both of these experiences. We all know what they both feel like. And most of the time we're sitting somewhere in the middle. But the more we can move ourselves to that higher vibrational state, then we'll be a lot happier, and the rest of the world will be a lot happier. If we can hold that vibration of peace, actually experience peace within ourselves, that's how we contribute peace to the world. We know that fighting doesn't contribute towards peace. It has to be an inner state that is then able to ripple out. And they've done loads of experiments. They did an experiment during the Arab Wars, where they had a small group of people just holding that vibration of peace within themselves, really feeling it within themselves. And then they monitored, how much firing was going on, how many people died, how whether the conflict was escalating or de-escalating. And they found a direct correlation between when people were meditating in peace to when they just went back to their ordinary everyday lives, to the level of conflict that was happening around them in the area. And it doesn't even need to be in the area. We can hold peace in our hearts for any part of the world. But to sit and go, yeah, but it's just so terrible and it's awful, and it's like this is happening and that's happening, and it's just so, and have you heard, and it's like this and it's like that and it's like that. That's not peace. That's very low vibration. It doesn't contribute to what it is that we actually want to see. The only way we can contribute to what we want to see is to feel it within ourselves, so that is what is spread through the field. And then I want to look at Jupiter in Gemini. It's in a very strong position in this chart, just about to rise over the eastern horizon. It's just about to become visible in the sky, but in that strong place in the first house. So first house is all about self-identity. It's ruled by Aries and by Mars, the god of war. And Gemini likes to talk. It really likes to express its opinion. It likes to talk about all the things that it's learned. Well, I was online, and I saw this, and I heard somebody else say this, and then I read that in a book. It's all stuff, information that we have collated from the environment. It's not information that we are drawing down from our higher powers, from our higher self. It's not new information. It's all stuff that we've just collected. And Jupiter likes to stand on its soapbox and say, I know this and I know that, and I can talk, and and it's like this, and you should listen to me because I'm an authority on this. I've done all the research on this. I know everything there is to know about it, and you should listen to me because I know. And nobody knows. Anything we read or we digest is somebody else's opinion. It's just an opinion. It's not our truth that we have accessed through our quiet meditation, or what we have observed ourselves and has changed our experience of what we know to be the truth. And Jupiter is about the truth, very much so. Jupiter wants to know the truth, but we're not going to get the truth just by listening to other people and by what we read and what we see in the media. That is only somebody else's opinion. It's not the truth. It's not our truth. Now, the classic Jupiter in Gemini is, this massive wave of AI information that's coming through. And I'm not saying that AI is bad, not at all. It just is what it is. It's how we use it and how we believe it that is the problem. And it's everywhere, and it's not going to go away. We need to learn how to live with it and to use it in a way that is beneficial to us, but not to be used by it. That's the secret. Because one of the fundamental things about AI is that it may be this massive super storage facility of information, information from everywhere and everything, anything anybody has ever said or written down. It's like it's all there. But it's not a storage of feelings. AI doesn't have feelings. It's just information. Only we have feelings. Only we can change our feelings and therefore influence the quantum field. The information from AI may impact our feelings, but it's not actually impacting the vibrational field at that frequency level. It has to come through us, if you like. So it's our responsibility how we interpret that information from AI. Do we allow it to lower our feelings, our emotional frequency, or do we allow it, or do we take the information and go, okay, that's useful, I'll add that to my pot, but I'm going to take it to my higher self and find out what my truth is, and then raise my vibrational frequency based on that truth and how I therefore can impact the world. And what we're really looking for is that spiritual teacher, like Buddha. It's like, I've got this issue, I've got this challenge, I don't understand what's going on, or I need more information about this. I need to see this in a different light. I need a different truth. I need a new truth. Please show me. When you ask, please show me, please tell me what it is. It may come through pretty quickly, but it may be you just have to sit with it for a bit, and then something will present itself to you and you go, there's the answer I was looking for. Okay, brilliant. Now I know what to do, or now I know my next step, or now I know how to integrate that piece of information. Now I know how to change myself to a higher vibration through that new understanding that I have just gained. And that's Jupiter in Gemini at its highest as a spiritual resource, not just an encyclopedic resource, as a spiritual resource. And then we still have the Mars-Pluto opposition, which I've been talking about now in my daily tips for quite a while. If you're not familiar with my daily tips, I'm going to put a QR code at the end that you can join the Starlight Lounge where they're posted every day. So I don't want to go into this massively because I have talked about it a lot. But we've had this ongoing opposition between Mars and Pluto for a couple of weeks now. And it's a tense opposition. They're in fixed signs. They are immovable. They are stubborn. They're not really willing to change very much. And both Mars and Pluto are planets of the will. You know, Mars is our willpower. It's like, I have to get this job done. Come on, just get on with it. You know, we can draw on that willpower to make us do something or to make us go and change something. And Pluto is universal will. You will listen, you will do as I say. And we can either align ourselves with the universal will and go, what is it you need of me? What is it you want? Just show me. I want to be of the best possible service to the whole. What is it you want of me? Or we can go, I don't give a toss. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And then Pluto will come along and go and take something away from us. Usually involves some form of loss, a dramatic loss. Somebody dies, we injure ourselves in some way, we lose something that's very precious to us, and we can feel very destabilized by it. But in the end, we have to say, okay, so what was I being taught? What was the universe trying to teach me in that loss? There's always a learning in anything, you know, there's no problems, they're all opportunities for growth and for more learning. But when we've got these two head to head with each other, you know, it's like that personal will, well, I'm not going to do that. And the higher will saying, oh, yes, you will. So we've got that going on within. We can see it going on without in the world. You know, these power struggles are going on. And it's particularly emphasized by the fact that Mars is in Leo, and Leo has to be the king. You know, it's the solar god, you know, and it's like, I have to be the center of attention, and you all have to look at me, and I have to be the boss. And Pluto in Aquarius is like, at low vibration, you're all going to do as I say, and you're all going to do it. So let's have a look at these at a different vibrational level. We look at Mars in Leo first. So this character on the left is like, you know, I'm the bee's knees and you're going to do what I want you to do. And I'm in control of this game and you're going to all look at me. Or we can access our true sovereignty, where we know that we are our own sovereign being and that we have this power to influence the whole unified field. And we're asking, how can I best be of service? I mean, ideally, this is what we want of our you know, kings and queens and emperors and presidents, is we want them to take on that mantle of responsibility, but it have nothing to do with themselves. It's all about, I now have been gifted this power. What do I do with it? How do I best use it to serve all these people who have chosen me to stand in the limelight? Leo is very much about being in the limelight. This is not about hiding ourselves away. Not at all. This is about ourselves stepping into our sovereign being in knowing our own power. very much so. And then if we look at Pluto, on the left is this, in Aquarius, Pluto is about power, remember? And Aquarius is about community. It's about uniformity. It's like these little girls have even all got their hair plaited in exactly the same way. They all look identical from the back. And if you go out into the streets, I don't know if you've noticed, but everybody now wears a uniform. Even if they've not got a job uniform on, and that uniform becomes who they are, it's hard sometimes to see the person behind the uniform. We tend to interact with the uniform, and it's the uniform that conveys power. But not only that, but we're seeing, I don't know if you've noticed it, but how virtually everybody wears black nowadays. It's become a uniform. And there's so many reasons why people do this. I'm not going to go into all of them, but it has become a uniform. People are uniformly wanting to all look the same, whether it's conscious or unconscious. That's what's happening, is like all doing the same thing. We're all on the same phones. We're all getting the same information. We're all listening to the same media. We're all getting the same. We're being seen as this homogenous group, this one organism, which we are. But when we are seen as all the same, that is problematic. Really, really problematic. If we're all connected at that level of quite low vibration, where it's not okay to stand out as an individual. It's not okay to be a unique sovereign being. And so what we're looking for are communities of unique sovereign beings, like on the right. It's like we all appreciate our differences. And it's like, wow, you're really good at this, and you're really good at that, and you're really good at this, and I'm really good at this. So we put that all together, then wow, we can create something that's bigger than any of us as individuals. And this is what we're looking for, that community of unique sovereign beings. So have a little break and listen to something else for a moment. Most of you know that I created my own astrology course, the Star Wisdom Astrology course, nearly 2 years ago now. And I currently run 3 courses, and I have another group who are working individually with the course videos. And I had one experiment where I worked one-to-one with someone, just teaching them the course over a few days. And I realized this was a much more powerful way of teaching astrology. So I have run retreats in the past. They were more creative retreats, although they were based in astrology. But now I'm putting together a unique astrology retreat where we're going to basically go through my whole course in one weekend. And okay, you're not going to remember it all, but there will be little aspects of it that you go, oh, I really resonate with that. I'm not going to forget that. I'm going to take that away. And you'll know how to create charts, and you'll be able to look at as many charts as you want of other people, of situations, of decisions that you're making. It's like, I'm going on holiday and I'm leaving the house now. And you make a chart for that moment, and then you can see what it is you need to know about your holiday for it to be the most highest vibration experience possible. Or you've got to make a decision about something, and you ask a question of the universe, what do I need to know? And you make a chart for that moment, and it will help you to see what it is that you need to know. Astrology is just such a phenomenally useful tool, and you don't need many of the skills to actually be able to use an astrological map to get some really useful information. And there'll be lots of time for one-to-one work. You're going to be able to explore your own chart in depth. It's all very fun. It's all done through play. I use lots of hats and costumes. And yeah, it should be an amazing experience, and it'll be done somewhere beautiful. We'll be spending a lot of time out in nature and a lot of time with each other, a lot of time on our own, and it will definitely be a transformative experience. There's no fixed date for it yet, but it will be over this next summer period between now and the autumn equinox. And if you want to be put on the wait list, if you want more information, then this is my email address. Please email me and say, I'm interested in the retreat. I can't give you any more detail now, except that hopefully it'll be a weekend. It might even be midweek. Don't know how much it's going to cost, but we will do our best to keep the exchange, the financial exchange, manageable for everybody. And yeah, just can't wait for you to come and experience this and have a really interesting time. So, yeah, email me if you're interested. And now we're going to look at the moon, which is also in Leo. So, it's still very much about this sense of self identity. The moon is our emotional being, it's our feeling level, it's our reactive response, it's our unconscious response. We tend to react unconsciously based on where our moon is in our own personal star map. And this moon is in the fourth house in Leo. So this is very much to do with our roots and our history. Remember what I was talking about, about really looking at where that fear came from? I had an interesting experience the other day. I was talking to somebody and we were talking about veganism. And she'd been vegan for a while. I've been vegan for a while. And she suddenly said to me, I realized I was afraid of meat. And it was like I'd been punched in the chest because I never liked meat as a child, but it had never occurred to me that I was afraid of it. And immediately I was in this physical sensation of being a small child. And it's for me, it's about the texture. I've always known it was about the texture, but it's this sense of having this lump in my mouth that I couldn't chew and I didn't know what to do with it. You couldn't spit it out, and I was just paralyzed with fear and this needing to retch because just. And I thought, whoa, that is what has made me not eat meat ever since I could make my own choice at 18. I thought, I need to look at this. I need to overcome this fear because, there's going to be situations, but bound to be somewhere in my future where I might even choose to eat meat now if I can get moved beyond that fear and go, oh, do I need to be afraid of that anymore? No, not really. I can pick and choose which bits of meat I want and I can spit it out if I don't like it. I'm not a small child anymore sitting at the dinner table and I couldn't spit it out. So we need to really find where these deep rooted fears come from. And because they're impacting our self identity, they're impacting how we express ourselves in the world, they're impacting how we see ourselves, how we appreciate ourselves. And a Leo, it's very much about I'm the boss and I have to be heard, and it can actually become quite aggressive. If you think of the lion, it's like I'm the king of the jungle, and if you don't do what I want, I'm going to bat you out of the way. And that's very low vibration moon in Leo, and it's a very unconscious, very reactive response. Whereas, really, if we've all had that in arms experience, and, we've all been seen as this precious bundle of joy that arrived in our parents' lives, and it was just, oh my God, you are the most beautiful, precious thing. And they just love us so much. And we know that we are so special and we are so blessed. And we can just explore the world in that knowledge that we are held and loved. That's a powerful thing to have received as a small child. And not many of us got that. I think more children are getting that now, but I don't really know anybody as an adult who's an adult now who actually really experienced that. It was more about, oh God, here's another child. Oh, blimey, I'm going to have to find some way of caring for this. I'm going to have to feed it. I'm going to have to house it. And yes, there's a bit of like, oh, you are cute. Sorry, I've got to do the work now. You have to sit in your pram for a couple of hours. We've all had that. That's what most of us had. And then Uranus, the ultimate planet of freedom, is right at the end of Taurus. It's about to move into Gemini. Now, there's three outer planets: Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They are the gods, if you like. They are the ones that really are dominating the planetary pattern in any moment. And whatever it is they're doing, wherever it is they're situated, is impacting the whole planet. So we've had Neptune has already moved into Aries. Saturn is about to move into Aries. And they both come from a water sign. And Uranus is about to move out of an earth sign and into an air sign. And I think that happened on the 7th of July. This is air and fire is just such a different energy to the water and earth that we have been in. Think of water and earth like mud. It's like plod, plod. Oh my gosh, is anything ever going to change? It's like it just all feels like hard work and everything feels like it takes a very long time. But once you get into air and fire, it's not going to be like that at all. It's going to be dung, 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 change, 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 change. We're going to be like, whoa, what has happened? And at very low vibration, it could be really explosive. You think of you put air and fire together, give a fire a bit more air, and it's explosive. But at a very higher conscious level, it's like instant information, it's like instant downloads. It could be a lot more psychic communication. Obviously, Uranus into Gemini is ultimate AI, but equally ultimate being able to access our higher self and access that quantum field for new information, because Uranus is able to break through the boundaries. I've been living under a little bit of a motto for the last few years. How can I be freer? How can I be freer? And Uranus is all about freedom. Taurus is quite difficult because Taurus is earth. It's slow. It changes very slowly. And so it's like, I just want to be free. I don't want to have to take time doing it. I don't want it to be happen slowly. But when it's to do with our physicality, it has to be slow. It's like a quick change of our physicality would be like a broken leg. Whereas if we want to change our physical being, I mean, it used to be that, every atom in your body would have turned over in 7 years. I think they're now saying 2 years. But, it takes time to change every single molecule in our body to something, maybe we choose, we want them all now to be at a higher vibration. So, it can take a little bit of time to do that. It can take a little bit of time for us to go, I'm not going to focus anymore on my ill health. I am now going to focus on the fact that I am abundantly healthy. I feel great. I have so much energy. My body is really fit. I'm so grateful for my body. And immediately our energy changes, but for our body to go through that physical shift of being weller, if you like, less painful, more wholesome, that takes a little bit of time for that to just shift through. So Uranus in Taurus is a little bit slow, but once it gets in Gemini, it isn't going to be slow at all. It's going to be instant, very, very fast. And we really have to pay attention to what we're thinking. Gemini is about the mind, and we only need to go one like, you what? They've gone and done that? I mean, that is ridiculous. Yeah, whoa, That's it. You know, that's out in the field. The Hicks say that we have 17 seconds to turn that around. So if you hear yourself saying anything that is like, get it quick, reframe it, come from a higher vibration, reframe. This is a really good word of the moment. Reframe it to a higher vibration, transform that energy fast. And because it's in the 12th house, remember, this is house of ourselves and retreating. This is something, a process we have to do within it. We can't expect other people to do it. We can't say, well, I'll change when they change. That is not going to work. They're going to change when we change. We can only work on ourselves. So on the left, you know, this Uranus and Taurus at very low vibration is like feeling ourselves breaking apart. You know, it's a classic earthquake, but we can feel that sensation in ourselves as well. It's like, God, everything's just falling apart. But high vibration is like, I've done it. I've broken through those physical limitations that I've been putting on myself. I am freer of the physicality stuff that has been holding me back. And that can be your money, your living situation, your body, your values, even your senses. You know, we want to break free into this more liberated physicality before Uranus moves into Gemini in July, which we will cover more in the summer solstice webinar. I should just add that towards the end of the year, Saturn moves back into Pisces, Neptune moves back into Pisces, and Uranus moves back into Taurus. So we are going to get another go at this, another go at dealing with the mud. You know, the last dregs of, I'm still finding it a bit, pedantic. Okay, let's move. Before we move for good into that fire and air energy next spring. There are positions in a chart which are very strong. They're very outward focused. They are making an impact in the world. And there are other positions which are much more inner. It's like I have to deal with this at an inner level. And what I've done is I've highlighted the 3 planets that I believe are the most out in the world. The ones that, if we really focus on these in terms of our interactions with other people, that in terms of how we're going to be of service at an actual interactional level, if you see what I mean. So first of all, the Saturn in Pisces, we can just go into so much martyrdom, self-sacrificing. Oh, poor me. Saturn is not an easy planet. You know, it's the one that does restrict us. It does say, you've got to stay safe, you've got to stay safe, you've got to stay safe at very low vibration. But at high vibration, it's the master. It's the master of Pisces' unconditional love. It's the master. It's about unity. It's the master of spiritual oneness, if you like. And it's on the 11th house cusp, which is to do with community. It's about bringing that spiritual mastery into every community we're with, to come in with love, to come in with compassion. And then Jupiter is very strongly placed in the 1st house in Gemini. So we've got this, you know, gossip, AI, like stirring up trouble and just, you know, dishing out misinformation because we just happen to have heard it online and it resonated deeply for us. But that doesn't mean to say it's anybody else's truth, and it might not even be your truth. If you feel something that resonates deeply for you, then you take it to your higher self, you take it to your source, and you go, this really resonates for me. Where does that fit for me? What's my experience? Because if it's not based in your experience, then it's not true for you. It has to be based in your experience. You have to be able to say, This happened to me. I felt this. And then finally, the moon is very strongly placed. You know, this emotional thing, you know, about look at me, listen to me. I need attention. Please listen to me. How are we drawing that attention to ourselves? Are we doing it through poor me and I need help and I'm not doing very well? Look at me, listen to me. Or are we standing in our sovereignty where all our needs have been met and we can be our inner sovereign divine being and forget about ourselves, really? You know, we don't have to think about our egos anymore because we know they're all being looked after. We've made sure they're all settled and happy and they all feel loved and they all feel safe. And now we can hand ourselves over in absolute radical trust to the universe. How can I be of service? What can I do? What can I feel that will raise the collective vibration? And the best one is gratitude. Such a beautiful day. Such a beautiful, beautiful day. You have to feel it. You have to really feel it. It's no good just saying, and thank you for this food, and thank you for the beautiful day. You're not feeling it. It's not enough to feel it. The moon is our emotions, our feelings. So here we have on the left that spiritual mastery of Pisces and the spiritual warrior that we are moving into. But at the same time, to have compassion, compassion for ourselves and compassion for everyone else. We all have problems. We all have stuff we have to deal with. We all have opportunities for growth and for more self-love and for more, therefore, for more love to give out to everybody else. But we just need to hold the compassion of the hurts that we experienced in our lives that meant that we don't have that hole. We didn't have that hole fully filled. And how can we now just give ourselves a bit of love, give somebody else a bit of love, a bit of the benefit of the doubt, and just hold them, hold the universe in compassion because it needs it. It's struggling. And the Jupiter, you know, in Gemini, watch out for all that negativity, to watch out for when we're just spouting stuff that we've heard or we've read. It's not our genuine truth. And to ask all the time, teach me, show me, what do I need to know? How can I grow? How can I be freer? What do I need to know in this situation to raise the vibration? And to make friends with AI, you know, understand that it's a very useful tool, very useful. We all love Googling, you know, oh, what's that flower called? Oh, I know, I'll Google it. Wow, it's that one. Amazing. And we'll remember that. But to understand that it has no feelings, it cannot control the universal field in the way that we can through our feelings. And then the moon in Leo. Are we reactive? Because we didn't get enough? Because we're insecure? Because we didn't feel important enough and we need to make sure that people see us? Or do we know, you know, one of the little exercise I do, sometimes I'll just pretend that I'm being held. And I can just, you know, and you actually even lose a sense of yourself because it becomes such a natural place to be. We're not even like thinking, oh, I'm being held. It's just a natural place to be, filling ourselves up. And when we can do that, then we can stand in our sovereignty. Then we can say, okay, I am here to be of service. I do not need other people to look after me in that way. I am fully accepting of who I am and I love who I am. And I am now ready to put that ego aside, and I am here to be of service, to be my sovereign being, to be my divine being in this world. And you will stand out. That's the nature of Leo. You will stand out. You will look different to everybody else. Embrace it. Because when we embrace our light, when we just love our light, then we give permission to other people to love theirs and to shine their light. So, quick reminder about the Star Wisdom Astrology course to email me if you are interested in knowing more. There's no commitment, just by emailing, and make sure that, you know, when I do have some information, you'll be the first person or one of the first people to know about it. Radical trust. In order to give ourselves to the universe and to say, I am here, I am willing to do whatever is required of me. I know that I am safe and that I am loved and that only good things are coming to me. Then we can give ourselves over. I'm not saying, you know, that you don't have plans or you don't, you know, like make sure that you've got your finances in order or anything like that, but to be open to that plan changing. I mean, you know, most of you know I've just been on a 3-month trip in the States. And yes, I would have a plan, but every day something would happen and that plan wasn't going to run out or for, you know, run along its projected course. Something different would happen and I'd go, oh, okay, not doing that now, doing something else. What is it you want? I know it's going to be better than what I had planned. Okay, so we're doing this. Brilliant, let's go. Wow. I could not have imagined, I could not have foreseen this situation that I now found myself in. And it is fantastic. It is much better than anything that I had planned. Because when we're planning things, we're just doing it at our mental level. We can only base it on what we know and what we've done already. Never going to be anything new. We have to let go and open ourselves up to what is there, to listen, to be in the moment. Okay, what's the best thing for me to do now? I need to go and do this now. Cool, I'll go and do that now. Life becomes so much smoother, more beautiful, more resonant, more easeful, more relaxing when we give ourselves over to the universe and trust that it has our back and trust that everything is for our higher good. And that whenever we feel a bit like, ooh, low vibration, shame, fearful, whatever, come back, come back, come back. Imagine something beautiful. Imagine a rainbow, imagine a baby, imagine, just smile. It will raise your vibration. Just keep coming back there, because the higher you can get, then whatever you are opening up to, whatever you are trusting that is going to come to you, will resonate at that higher level, and it will bring that a higher outcome to you. So I love you all, and thank you so much for watching. And if you're not a member of the Starlight Lounge already and you would like to receive the daily astrology and tarot tips that I do, which will be based on, a lot of it will coming up now will be based on this webinar, and certainly this webinar has been based on a lot of what we've been looking at already. Here, just scan the QR code and it will take you straight in. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all, and see you again in the solstice, summer solstice webinar.